Well, guys, we have finally hit 700 subscribers. Not gonna lie, it's really exciting just to see how quickly the channel's grown. Like, we're just over a year old now, and already we're on a fast track to 1,000, it feels like. I can't wait to actually get to that milestone, but for right now, we're gonna do a top 10 list, and I kind of want to do this thing where, like, I'm gonna do sets of 3 each time, so, like, the first 3 were all DC, second 3 were all wrestling, next 3 are all going to probably be Pokemon, and we're going to kick it off with this, my top 10 Charizards. Thank you everyone who subscribed to me, thank you everyone who stuck with me. Let's see what my favorite figures are of the original Fire Starter. At number 10, it just had to be this Mega Charizard X plush. I enjoy it. There are problems here. The good things are, the wings are appropriately ferocious. You have details like the shoulder spikes, the colors look alright. The head is wonky as hell. The head is just way too short, the flames coming off it look really weird. Not big on that at all. But there's a reason for that. Look at this. So that looks pretty nice, right? Little Mega Evolution symbol, Mega Charizard X. On the back, well, I mean, that's all Japanese. You can't really read any of that, can you? But you want to know what there isn't? A Nintendo logo, or a Pokemon logo, or a Game Freak logo. And on that tush tag, there's also not any of those. This is a knockoff. Savannah, whatever reason, we're just a haven for very specifically knockoff Pokemon plush. Literally, there are 2, perhaps even 3 major stores here in Savannah that sell knockoff Pokemon plushes. I've done a few videos of the knockoff plushes, because usually they're fine. They're pretty enjoyable. This one is less so enjoyable, but I still enjoy it because it's one of the only Mega Charizard X things I have. So for that reason, it just barely makes it onto the list. At number 9, we're getting proper with the world again. So this is one of my Japanese finger puppets of Charizard, but this one's special. If we look on the back, where are you? Here we are. 1996. This would have been one of the first Charizards ever made. Possibly the first, because the finger puppet line did start before the Tomy line, which means there's every chance that they did their Charizard first. And this Charizard's special, so he came in 2 pieces. I'm not going to take them apart now because this can get very brittle with age, but you can see, you literally just had to put it together, and it is so phenomenal. Still a wonderful looking finger puppet. That said, it's using a design for Charizard that we don't really see anymore. If you allow me a moment, I'm going to pull someone who's not on the list back in. This is one of the more modern Charizard finger puppets, and you can see how the design has changed around. Charizard is now a lot thicker looking, his arms are longer, his wings are a little bit less jagged, but this original Charizard, this kind of season 1 of the anime first box art Charizard, just so cool, and I'm so happy to have him in my collection. At number 8, it's another finger puppet. I really like Mega Charizard X, so of course the Mega Charizard X puppet got on the list. But look at this, this is how it's supposed to look. The more menacing flames, the monstrous face, the jagged wings. Ah man, Mega Charizard X is such a wonderful design, a great evolution of the classic Charizard look, and I'll always like it for making Charizard a dragon at long last. Number 7, we're back in the world of plush, and look at this, a shiny Charizard. I love the red inside the wings, the yellow belly. I just really enjoy this look overall. Now, kind of like the other Charizard plush we looked at, that head's just a bit wonky. He looks like he's talking out the side of his mouth, and the forehead horns are definitely going way too forward straight. You should go more kind of flush with the neck. That said, this is a really cool looking plush. Even the flame design on the tail looks pretty cool. But look at that. Yep, this is another knockoff. I've done my best to research. I don't know what the original plush of this would have been. The Mega Charizard X plush, I know, is not knocking off any specific plush. It's just a design from a knockoff company. I kind of think something similar might be at play here. The only reason I hesitate to say that is because this looks too good. This looks like an actual Pokemon Company produced, or perhaps even Tomy or Jax produced Charizard plush. So I'm gonna still do research, but until I can actually find the original, I really do enjoy the fact that they made a shiny, or as close to a shiny as we can get with this plush. And, some of the colors are wrong for shiny Charizard, but I think it does look good altogether. And, it has a place in my collection. I love Pokemon. I love supporting the official products, of course, but, sometimes these knockoffs are actually pretty solid, and as long as we acknowledge that they are knockoffs, and we don't try to pass them off as anything else, I don't personally have a problem with them, because it gives us some pretty cool stuff like this. Number 6, this is just a blast from the past. This is a Charizard keychain, and I remembered having this guy when I was very, very, very young. This is not my childhood Charizard, but it is the same model. Now this guy, he's pretty worse for wear, very banged up, a lot of the paint missing, but man, it's so nice to have this guy again. Just a good representation of the original Charizard, and look at him, he's so happy looking. He's just smiling, like the coolest kid in class. Charizard's basically Vegeta when you think about it. And I think this this keychain does a good job at just giving a little bit of personality back to the old lizard. Number 5. This is interesting. So it's a big resin Pokeball with a Charizard on the inside. I see these guys online a lot. Some of them are officially produced by the Pokemon Company, others are not. I don't remember. I assume this one actually was one of the officially produced ones. But basically, what you do is, if I had the full thing, you'd have a light-up base, you sit it on it, and it lights up the Pokemon inside. Now, I never got that. This just came into Planet Fun one day, and I fell in love with it because it's so cool. It's just like a crystal Pokeball with the soul of a Charizard inside. And when the light hits it just right, like it's doing now, it just looks magical. I adore this little Charizard inside the Pokeball. I would like to get more of these figures, or more of these props, but in all honesty, I think I'm fine with just Charizard, unless they get like one of my big favorites, like, I don't know, Typhlosion, or Roserade, or Snorlax, or Gliscor, or Garchomp. I just don't see myself buying any more. This Charizard more than adds to the collection by itself. Number 4, I just had to gush about this guy. There's a local artist in Savannah. They occasionally just sell some of their like knitted Pokemon to Planet Fun, and I was able to pick up their Charizard, and it is amazing. I wish I had this artist's name. I wish I did. But they made just a phenomenally cute little Charizard. Look at this. The knitted detail, the way they got the wings using felt. You have the fire to back here, just kind of with a bunch of loose string. Out of all the stuffed Charizards, this is my favorite. And if I could only save one Charizard in the collection, it'd be this one. Just because it's the most unique and the most heartfelt. There are a few that I'm going to place higher than it on the list, just because there's only one of these guys out there to my knowledge. So I think I can't make it number 1 when I'm the only one in the world who could have it, possibly. But I do have to acknowledge it. It's a very good little Charizard. Very good. Now on the podium finishes, and in the bronze medal position, it's this Charizard finger puppet. It's because it looks like he just fell down. It's because it looks like he just fell down. Look at that. He totally just tripped, and now he's like, whoa, I meant to do that. It makes me laugh. That's why it's number 3. 2 is a Pokemon that's literally too big for my review setup. This is a 16-inch Charizard plush. So where'd it come from? It's an arcade plush. It was made by Toy Factory. Don't believe me? Check the tag. Boom. Toy Factory, all the way in 2020. So this is an officially released Pokemon plush at long last, and one that finally gives a menacing stature to Charizard. You can see his wings just look phenomenal. The the head design, though really simple, does actually work pretty well for Charizard. The body proportions are solid enough. What's interesting to me is there's not plush in this. It feels like styrofoam beads, which is pretty in keeping with some of these big arcade plushes. They're made cheap so that in case, essentially you have to spend as much money as you can to win these guys. And because it's built cheap, you can see I have a pretty unfortunate seam tear already happening in my Charizard. It's unfortunate, I'm going to have to repair him. I wish these guys were better made, but if they were better made, they'd be a lot smaller. That's just kind of the nature of the beast when it comes to these arcade or carnival prizes. But I'm always going to be so happy to have a massive Charizard in the collection. Finally, at number 1, it could really only be one Charizard. For my money, the Jazzwares Trainer Select Charizard is the best Charizard toy ever made. It is the measuring stick by which I judge all other Trainer Select figures, as well as all Pokemon figures, especially ones that try to go more for the adult collector. This Charizard is packed with articulation. It is over 5 inches tall, closer to 6 inches, nearly 7 inches wide with the wingspan. It is a massive figure. It only went for $20. It's still readily available because they're re-releasing this guy as we speak. He's never that far out in terms of the money you'd have to spend on him. And he's so well articulated. Like, I know you look at him and you think, well, that's a pretty goofy design, but check this out, right? Not only does the mouth open, one sec, let me get that. It's a bit stiff, but mouth opens, fully painted inside, but then the head is on a universal joint. The neck is on a universal joint. Go down to the wings, that's on a hinge at the wing, and in the mid-wing, you have a universal shoulder, a upper arm rotation, a double jointed elbow, universal at the wrist, universal at the hip. You have a good hinge at the knee, hinge at the foot, and then universal at every one of the tail joints, and the flame is able to rotate. So, yeah, they spared no expense trying to make the ultimate Charizard for Wave 1 of their new line, and I think it really shows. This guy is just so incredible, and a Charizard that you're able to get into poses really easily, and many diverse and dynamic poses at that. Pokemon has never been a series known for their action figures. You know, figurines and finger puppets and plush, sure, they do that. But action figures? Not really. So we now live in a world in which you can get a well-articulated Pokemon figure, and the first one they did was Charizard, and he still might be the best one. That's why he's my number 1, is because this Charizard doesn't just show what an articulated Pokemon figure could be, but what it should be, and what it is, all at the same time. This guy is spectacular. He sold an entire toy line to me, one that has had some ups and downs, I'll be honest, but I'm still chasing the high of when I first got this Charizard and realized what a more mature, collector-minded figure could look like. So there we have it, my top 10 Charizards. The big thing I want to say is just thank you everyone for getting me to 700. You know, I got to 600 subscribers literally the night of New Year's Eve, right before we got into the new year. So I have a really good feeling about how the channel is going to develop as we go on in the year. I'm really happy with the new direction I might be taking some of the top 10s. We'll keep tweaking as we go along, but at the end of the day, thank you guys all for just hanging out with me and watching some of the videos. But with all that said, hope you guys all have a good day. Thank you for sparing some seconds for me, and we'll see what Pokemon we do next time.